everyone, this is Chris. Thank you for joining me. So in today's video, I would like to show you how to use UV resin. This is one of my first time I'm using this product. I'm already pretty much into resin. I love resin because it has this transparent, translucent look to it, or it can be opaque also if you want to, depending on the colorings you're using. But I want to start now using a little bit more of UV resin, and it's really fun to do. So I just want to show you this video. There are some few tricks that you may want to avoid before using it, so make sure that you're not going to lose or waste any of it. So these are the first two that I made here, and oh, actually I have a third one. I forgot about it. Let's put it here. I'm going to put my little house here in between. So there you have. The first one I did was this little cat here, and this is my second try, so it's another little jewelry, a pendant, and this is the third one I try to do, and I made some mistakes on this one. I don't know why everything went well on this one and not this one, so maybe I'm going to share something with you. So I have this pendant, and it's supposed to be just plain like this. I had it for a long time, and I decided I was going to use it. So the materials you will need, of course, is something that has a hole in it, because that's the technique we're going to use today. You will need some UV resin for sure. You will need also a UV lamp, which I have here. It's a very small one, but I couldn't find anything bigger right now. And also you will need some resin coloring. I'm using alcohol inks. They are re-inkers. I love Pinata. I'm literally in love with Pinata. So you can use these because they're very, very bright. But my bottles here are almost empty. So I may use one of them, but not all of them. You will also need a sheet of paper. I would recommend working on something that is white because it needs to reflect the light of your UV lamp. And also for this, I'm going to use some tape. So I already put some tape here on my paper because that's where I'm going to mix my colors with my resin. And also you will need another piece of tape. And I'm going to show you why. Because since this is hollow, we're going to have to put something underneath, because otherwise our resin is going to pour away. So you're going to take your piece of tape here, and I decided to use a transparent one since I want something really shiny, and you're just going to fold the ends here and stick it onto your paper. You need to have the sticky part up. For the other one here, it's sticky part down. This one is sticky part up. And make sure while you're doing this that you're not putting your fingers where you don't want them to be, which means, okay, so now it's really well stuck, which means somewhere in this area, because this is where I am going to put my embellishment here, and I hope it's flat enough so it's really gonna stick everywhere, and nothing is going to seep through. That's really what I wish. I'm not sure at all, but I hope so. We'll have to give it a try. So now what you're going to do, so I'm using this brand and also some toothpicks. That's going to be very handy to pick up your resin. And that's it. So I'm using this brand. I got this on Amazon. Everything is written in either Chinese or Japanese. I guess it's Chinese. So I can't read that, so I don't know how long it's going to take. Apparently, usually UV resin is about 1 or 2 minutes if it's really thin. So we're going to give it a try. So if you have this where you intended to buy it, that's a good video for you as well. So I'm going to come back close here. And I'm so excited. I love that technique because it's really quick. So I'm going to put a little bit of, you don't need to shake it, it's just me. You're going to put a little bit of resin if you want to tint it. And put it aside. I think it's better to put it aside. It's really thick. I'm having some issue pouring it out. I don't know if it's normal, but it's quite thick. So I hope you'll be able to see it. Let me do it that way. Yes. And I need much more. I guess because I have a big opening here, I could do it directly in my embellishment, but I want to do several colors here. So I'm going to use a little bit of this blue And I'm going to put just one drop here on top of it. I'm going to use a Q-tip, the toothpick, and I'm going to mix this color. So depending on how well you mix, it's going to be more opaque or more transparent. Actually, I think it's really opaque right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, so I'm going to put it in some areas but not everywhere. You know what? I think I'm even going to change it. I'm not sure I'm going to like this color. It's really opaque, and well, let's give it a try. Let's see. So you're supposed to take it like this and start putting it everywhere in your embellishment. So I think I really need to do a big close-up here because it's kind of small. And maybe that way too. It's going to be easier for you and for me to see. So be careful not to drop any on your metal piece. Otherwise, if you do, it's okay. As long as it's not dry yet, you'll be able, with a piece of kitchen towel, to take it away. I always have some kitchen towel by my side when I craft anyway. And I'm pushing it everywhere here in my hole. I really want to make sure that I'm going to have resin everywhere. It's maybe not easy to see, but I'm trying to do my best. I think finally, you know what? After all, I think I do like that color. So I'm not going to put too much. I'm just going to put a thin layer here. And I'm grabbing it. I need to show you this. I'm grabbing my, there you go, and I'm filling in my, it's like a filigree a little bit. And I have many of these, so I think I'm going to do different colors every time. And what's good about this this technique is that you can do many layers, and every time putting something in between the layers to give it even more interest. And that's probably what I'm going to do here. So I'm just putting some more there. And another thing that is important, especially when you have something that is not really thick, like this piece of jewelry, make sure that where you're working on your table is straight, I mean really flat up to level. It should be not going onto a level, otherwise it's not going to dry perfectly straight. I hope what I mean is you can understand what I'm meaning. Yeah, it means to be really at level, perfectly straight. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop here because I want to put a lot of color. So I'm going to use my UV lamp. And I've already made a try and I know it works. And I'm really going on top of it. And what I usually do, I'll wait for about a minute or two. Usually after a minute, it starts to be already really well hard. But I just want to make sure it's going to be hard enough. So I'm going to leave it for 2 minutes. I'm back. It's hard. I think it's good. And I can see that there are quite a lot of little bubbles, but it's maybe because I shaked it a little bit before. I don't know why. I thought it was a alcohol ink and I shaked it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another color, and I think I'm going to go for lighter blue. So again, I'm going to put some resin here. And you've got to be patient with this technique because you've got to go and use layers by layers. But I really think that the result is very interesting. It allows you to make things really differently than if you had your usual molds where you pour in your resin. And you can do very fine details with this one as well. So I'm pouring quite enough here. I'm sorry if it's taking a long time, but I'm having and this bottle is full, I mean, but the hole is tiny. And now I am going to use this Pinata ink because I think the blue is going to be much lighter. And I'm going to use another toothpick. I'm going to put my ink here, so I'm going to be sure I'm not putting too much. Come on, girl, that's not enough at all. There's something here in it. Okay. I'm going to grab it, put some more here, and I really like this blue. It's a very light blue. I love it. A little bit more maybe. Go slow, don't put too much. You can always add more, but you can never take away. Yes, I think it's getting a bit more interesting now. And by the way, with resin, you can always, if you're not happy with the result or it's too translucent, it's nice to have something translucent, but if you wear it on your skin, it's going to be okay. But if you're wearing this on a t-shirt, sometimes depending on the color of your t-shirt, it's going to make your pendant disappear because it's too translucent. So you can always change it and put a little bit of acrylic paint on the back side of it, and of a color of your choice. I would usually go for white, something very light, so it's not gonna change the colors. What is in here? I don't know. Maybe because it's the end of my bottle of ink. But I really, really enjoy these Pinata. They're so bright. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick it up. And I'm going to put it next to the other one. And I will put, I don't know yet, if I'm going to put some glitter in here. Because I've already have the flower. And I don't know about the bubbles. If you have used this resin and you have little bubbles, I've tried to use a lighter, but it's so thick that they don't come up to the surface. And even using the lighter like you would use with regular resin doesn't seem to work that much. I'm sorry if this video is going to be a bit long, but I really want to show you in real time how you work with this. And you can always fast forward if you wish. I'm not a very patient person usually, but for this craft I really don't mind because the result is going to be so lovely that I don't mind. This could be also a great craft if you want to sell your pieces of jewelry. I mean, it really looks like glass. I've seen some wonderful stuff on Pinterest. Let me turn it like this. And there are some people so talented out there. The one with the pieces of wood inside, oh, that's beautiful. It looks like they managed to do some kind of science, like tiny trees and rivers. I wish I would know how to do that. Like everything, you just need to learn and practice. Whoops. Don't get your fingers caught into the tape. I'm going to add everything I have here. I don't want to waste it. And it's going to make it even a little darker. And you have some resins, UV resins, that come already with the color. They are tinted. And usually they come in this format. They're very small. And it's not resin coloring. It's actually resin that is, you need to pour directly in onto your objects. It's not really made to mix with something else. You could, but it's going to make it lighter, like if you were diluting it with water. I'm going to add a little bit more here. I don't want this part here to be too thin. Yeah, I kind of like it. I really like it. And I'm going to leave this one plain, but I think I'm going to come back where my darkest blue is, and I think I'm going to put something shiny. I want to make it pop a little bit. I think I'm almost done there. Okay, I'm going to call it good. And again, I'm going to use my UV lamp to set it, and I'll be back as soon as it's completely hard. See you in a minute. Well, for you, it's going to be a few seconds. So I'm back. Everything is hardened. I hope you can hear this. So it's really hardened. And I think I'm going to go, I'm not going to put silver in here. I wanted to put these gold lift. I don't have them in silver, so I don't want to mix and match silver. So I'm going to use a little bit of this glitter. I think I'm going to put on top here of my blue. Just a little bit. Or maybe I should have, I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to do a bit more resin. I should put my glitter into my resin, actually. That would be much better. So I'm going to put some more in here. I've got a little area left, and I'm going to mix this with a little bit of that glitter, just because I think my blue is a bit too dark. It's almost a purple color, so I'm going to mix and match. And apparently, from what I've seen, if you're using some opaque colors, you might want to use your UV light a little bit longer. I've seen up to 5 minutes if it's really thick or if it's really opaque, just to make sure that it's going to be really hardened even at the core of it. That's quite important. So I'm going to put it here. Let me show you back. Going to put it up. There you go. And I'm going to spread it apart. So I will still see the dark purple. It's really like purple underneath. But I'm going to have some shimmer on it as well. Not too much. Hope I'm not having my head in the middle, but I need to see what I'm doing. And I try not to scrape the resin that has hardened, because I don't want to hurt it. I don't want to see. I think it's going to look nice. Maybe it's a bit weird that here I have nothing, but hey, it's just a try. It cost me a few cents, and you need to try to see if things are well. I do have quite a lot of bubbles. I think you can see them. So if you know how to take bubbles away of resin, UV resin, I'd like to know, because I really do have a lot. I'm going to put a little bit more. Yeah, I like it. And maybe I'm going to fill in here, because that's not going to be easy. And I think I'm just going to pour some resin just like that on top, because it's really thin. And I'm going to call this part here done. And I'm probably going to do a very light pink, green, I'm sorry, maybe in this area somehow, to see what it does. So pink, no, not pink. I'm going to use yellow, because yellow on the blue is going to make it look green. This is exactly what I want to do. So again, I'm using a clean space here, and I'm going to put some of this. So a little bit of yellow, I'm going to put it here. Again, because I don't want to put too much. That's just directly from my re-inker. Oh, I like this yellow. And I'm going to put it here. So it's going to have a greenish, oh yes, 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 sorry, I was out of focus. So I'm just layering here my yellow on top of my blue, and I have the exact green I was hoping. I'm going to have to turn it around. Bear with me. So I can see everywhere, every single little hole. I want to make sure I have this resin going everywhere. And I wonder if I have to store this little bottle upside down to get rid of the bubbles, because the bubbles are in there. As soon as I try to, you know, spill it out, the bubbles are in there. And I use the second bottle because I have two small. I wanted to have two small bottles just as refill, and I didn't shake the other one, and there are some bubbles inside. And I don't want a harsh line, so I'm going to try, there's something in here, to make like a little wave here. I just don't want a straight line. And something I wanted to tell you, normally you should use gloves for this, but it's so tiny I didn't want to use gloves. But normally you should, okay? And second, do this in a very well vented room, because when you start putting the UV lamp on it, it does have some kind of smell. And there's a little bit of smoke too. Not smoke, but fumes. So yes, I would really recommend maybe opening your windows or even having a mask. And I have a lot of this on my toothpick, and I'm going to take it away. And I'm not going to put this yellow on this color here because it's more purple than anything else, and I don't think I'm going to like the color. And I'm using the right face of this. I'm using this the right face up, just because my flower is so raised that it would not stick to my tape here, and I would not be able to fill it. So again, I'm going to use my UV lamp. I'm going to make this harden, and I'll come back, and I'm just going to fill everything with the clear resin, and I will show you the end result. No, there's going to be another step I'm going to show you. So bear with me a little more, and I'll be back in just a second. So I've put more translucent resin. I'm sorry, I just forgot to put my camera back on. So this one is just clear. There's no color to it. I just want to cover it up to the top here, to the rim of my embellishment of my pendant, and I'm just spreading it around very carefully. And if I see there's a bit too much somewhere, I'm dragging it to another place. I know it's going to be hard to see, but I'm sure you can at least understand what I'm doing. And I'm going to turn it around to make sure there's really resin. Try to make it even. Yep, I'm going to call it good. I think I've got an even coating everywhere. That's good. So again, for the final touch, I'll be back in few seconds. Everything has set, but I would like to show you something before showing you the final result. So I'm going to go backwards a bit here and zoom. Before I'm going to take this pendant out of the tape, what I had in here, that was one of my first trials, is that I thought everything was perfectly set and everything was dry. And actually when I took that's the back part, that's the front part. But when I took it off, my plastic, the red here, the red coloring was not set. I don't know why, because it's really tiny. And as you can see, it bleeded through. It was still very liquidy. So I don't want to do the same mistake here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my tape off. And I'm going to use my light, my UV light underneath, like this. I'm kind of putting it on an angle so you can see, but I really want to make sure that it's going to be dry also beneath. And that's the best way I have found to do it. So now I'm going to wait for maybe just a minute. Normally everything should be fine, but that's just in case. I don't want to ruin this whole thing. You've spent some time on it. And even though there's not a lot of resin, it is some resin. So I think you can just take 1 minute or even 2 minutes just to make sure that this side also is completely set and dry and solid before taking everything off. So maybe it's not a minute yet, so I'm just going to give it a little tap to see. Seems okay. And I would wait, you know, normally a couple seconds before taking the tape away, because it is hot. It's a tiny bit hot. It's not too much. You're not going to burn yourself for sure, but it's getting higher in temperature. So now I'm going to take it away. I'm going very gently, and I'm taking my tape off on an angle. Yes, and that's where my flower, the back of my flower is. So the back is really, it's a bit weird because here I have a hole. I can always fill it up with more resin, but that's just the back side of it, and that's the front side. Do I have a little piece of paper to show you better? And I really like it. I like the look of it, and that was quite easy. I'm not going to tell you it's super fast, but it's really easy. And you can put in here, embed whatever you want. It could be some stickles. It can be maybe even a dry flower in here. Just make sure it's not going to be thicker than the thickness here of your piece of jewelry. I wanted to put more things in here, but it's really, really thin. So I have to just stay with this, but I like the colors. Maybe the purple is not exactly what I was expecting. I wanted just a darker blue, but anyway, I still think it's nice, and I'll improve my technique. I just wanted to show this to you. I'm a beginner in UV resin. I'm sure a lot of you are, and for those who know how to do it, please tell me, how can I get rid of all these little bubbles? You're maybe not going to see them very well, but there are, and they're directly coming out of the bottle, and the lighter doesn't do anything. So maybe keeping it upside down will avoid the bubbles. I think I might try this. If you have any advice, please share it with us, because I need at least to improve, and I like the shimmer of this one. It makes it pop a little bit more. So yes, I hope this video was useful, and you will try as well to use some UV resin. Come on, that's good. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, give me some thumbs up, and also share on social medias. Thank you very much for following me. See you soon for other videos. Take care. Bye-bye.